Welcome back, candle makers. Today we're tackling questions 6 to 10 in our series of the top 20 questions candle makers ask. This list comes from a compilation of questions from Reddit, Facebook, and YouTube. We kept them in order of frequency. We're going to cover: what temperature should you add fragrance oil? What temperature should you pour at? How long should candles cure? What's the best wax for beginners? And why is your wick mushrooming? No myths, no guesswork, just practical answers you can apply immediately. If we haven't met yet, I am Kimberly Patterson, and I teach candle makers how to turn plain candle vessels into works of art using sublimation and engraving. Let's dive in. Question number 6 out of 20. What temperature should I add fragrance oil? Adding fragrance oil at the wrong temperature is one of the fastest ways to create problems in your candles. If you add it too hot, you risk damaging delicate fragrance notes before the candle is even poured. If you add it too cool, the fragrance may not fully bind with the wax. Here is what you need to know. Your wax brand and type determine the temperature you add your fragrance. Always follow the technical data sheet for your specific wax. The most important thing after adding fragrance is stirring. Not 10 seconds, not 30 seconds. Give it a full 2 minutes of slow, consistent stirring to help the fragrance properly incorporate throughout the wax. One mistake beginners make is assuming every wax behaves the same. It doesn't. Soy wax generally performs best between 170 and 185 degrees. Many soy makers find that 175 degrees is their sweet spot. Paraffin typically likes slightly higher temperatures, often between 180 and 190 degrees. Its molecular structure is different and it can handle those temperatures more easily. Then we have coconut and cocoa apricot blends. Many luxury waxes perform best with fragrance added between 185 and 200 degrees. That's one reason I always tell people, stop following generic advice online. Read the technical data sheet for your wax. Your wax manufacturer knows more about your wax than a random Facebook comment ever will. Something else worth mentioning: the thermometer is non-negotiable. I know some makers who try to judge wax temperature by appearance. They'll say things like, "It looked ready," or "I've been doing this long enough to know." Don't. A candy or digital thermometer is one of the cheapest tools in candle making, and it eliminates an entire category of mistakes. Below 160 degrees, fragrance often struggles to fully incorporate. Between 160 and 170 degrees, you're entering a gray area where results can become inconsistent. Between 170 and 185 degrees is generally the sweet spot for most waxes. Above 190 degrees, you begin risking the loss of delicate fragrance components. A $10 thermometer can save you hundreds of dollars in wasted materials. My suggestion is to use one, don't guess. Question number 7 out of 20 is: what temperature should I pour at? Now let's move to one of the most debated topics in candle making. Everybody wants a magic number. Unfortunately, there isn't one. The perfect pour temperature depends on your wax, your vessel, your room temperature, and even the look you're trying to achieve. What works perfectly for one maker may create problems for another. The goal isn't finding someone else's perfect temperature. The goal is finding yours. And the only way to do that is through testing and documentation. So let's talk pour temperatures and surface finish. The pour temperature affects much more than appearance. It affects adhesion, wet spots, sinkholes, and overall finish quality. When you pour too cool, the wax may pull away from the glass as it contracts. Those cloudy patches are what we call wet spots. Room temperature also plays a huge role. A cold room can cause wax to cool too quickly, resulting in rough tops and inconsistent surfaces. I recommend working in a room between 65 and 75 degrees whenever possible. And if you're working with paraffin, don't be afraid of a second pour. Professional manufacturers do it all the time. It's not a mistake. It's simply part of the process. Here's a simple process you can follow every single batch. Step 1. Melt your wax completely and monitor the temperature. Step 2. Add fragrance at the temperature recommended by your wax manufacturer. Then stir for a full 2 minutes. Step 3. Allow the wax to cool to your desired pour temperature. For soy waxes, that often falls somewhere between 120 and 140 degrees. For coconut waxes, there is generally no wait between stir and pour. Step 4. Pour slowly and steadily. Avoid splashing. Avoid moving the vessel. Then let the candle cool undisturbed. And here's my favorite tip. Keep a batch log. Write down your fragrance temperature, pour temperature, room temperature, and results. Your notebook will become more valuable than any Facebook group. Now for question 8 out of 20. If there's one step candle makers skip more than any other, it's cure time. And unfortunately, it's one of the most important. Many makers burn test a candle after 24 or 48 hours and immediately decide whether it's good or bad. That's a mistake, unless you are using a coconut apricot wax that cures in 72 hours, and even then I would wait the entire 72 hours. During curing, fragrance molecules are bonding with the wax matrix. That bonding process directly impacts scent throw. Without proper curing, you're not testing your finished candle. You're testing an unfinished candle. For most natural waxes, I recommend at least 2 weeks. For paraffin blends, 1 week is often sufficient. And for certain engineered waxes, 72 hours may be enough. You might be asking, what's happening during the cure? During days 1 through 3, the fragrance is still settling throughout the wax. You may have some cold throw, but hot throw is often disappointing. During days 4 through 7, stronger molecular bonds begin forming. The candle starts improving noticeably. Then between days 7 and 14, most waxes reach full cure. This is when I recommend conducting serious burn tests if you have one of these wax types. The lesson here is simple. Patience is part of candle making. The candle you're disappointed in after 3 days may become your best performer after 14. And of course, you are asking, what waxes cure faster? One reason I've become such a fan of luxury engineered waxes is cure time. For example, cocoa apricot creme from Makesy often performs beautifully after only 72 hours. Virgin coconut soy is another excellent option. Nature Wax C6 also cures relatively quickly compared to traditional soy waxes. For production makers, this can be a huge advantage. You can test faster. You can launch faster, and you can reduce the amount of inventory sitting on shelves waiting to cure. Just remember, always verify cure recommendations with your supplier's technical data sheet. And now for question 9 out of 20. What is the best wax for beginners? This question might surprise you. I don't believe there is one best wax. There is only the best wax for your goals. Soy wax is popular because it's affordable, natural, and easy to find. The downside? Long cure times, frosting, sinkholes, and a fair amount of troubleshooting. Paraffin delivers incredible scent throw and is very forgiving, but some makers struggle with the petroleum-based perception. Every wax has strengths. Every wax has weaknesses. The trick is understanding the trade-offs. Let's compare waxes. If we compare the major wax families, each occupies a different position in the market. Soy is affordable and natural. Paraffin delivers exceptional performance. Beeswax burns beautifully but is expensive and has limited fragrance capacity. My personal favorite is cocoa apricot and coconut blends. They offer a creamy finish, excellent adhesion, strong scent throw, and a luxury appearance. They're more expensive, but I save by not having to troubleshoot. They also position your product at a higher level, or in the luxury market, your profit can be up to 3 times higher. That's why I use them. So for me, it is actually cheaper to use a more expensive wax because my profits are higher. Here's my framework for choosing a wax. First, define your goal. Are you making candles for yourself, for gifts, or to build a business? Second, determine your budget. Third, choose one wax and commit to learning it. This is where many beginners get stuck. They bounce from soy to paraffin to coconut. There is nothing wrong with switching waxes, I did, but every time you switch, you have to start over. I would do a lot of research first, before buying my first wax. Then master it. And if your goal is luxury candles, my advice is simple. Start luxury? Build your foundation around the market you ultimately want to serve. Question 10 out of 20. Why is my wick mushrooming? Let's finish with one of the most common candle problems. That little carbon ball at the top of the wick is usually telling you something. The most common cause is an oversized wick. The wick is pulling more fuel than it can cleanly burn. The excess carbon accumulates and forms the mushroom. Long burn sessions can make the problem worse. And failing to trim the wick almost guarantees it will happen eventually. The simplest solution? This seems silly to mention, but I have met candle buyers who have never trimmed a wick. They didn't think they needed to. Trim your wick to 1/4 inch before every burn. Let's talk about mushrooming versus sooting. Many makers confuse mushrooming and sooting. They're related, but they're not identical. Mushrooming is carbon buildup at the wick tip. Sooting is black smoke or black deposits on the jar. If you're seeing both at the same time, there's a very good chance your wick is oversized. The first thing I would test is dropping down one wick size and running another burn test. Small adjustments often make a huge difference. Here's something many candle makers never consider. Sometimes the fragrance oil is contributing to mushrooming. High vanillin fragrances, especially vanilla-based scents, are notorious for creating more carbon buildup. Certain carrier oils can also contribute. And fragrances with lower flash points may burn more aggressively. So before blaming the wick, ask yourself, did I recently change fragrance oils? If the answer is yes, your fragrance may be the real variable. The best candle makers don't wait for problems. They prevent them. Most people trim their wick only after they see mushrooming. Professionals trim before every single burn. It's a tiny habit that produces huge results. Cleaner burns, less soot, less mushrooming, longer candle life, better customer experiences. If you don't own a wick trimmer, consider picking one up. They're inexpensive, and they make the job much easier. No matter what candle problem you're facing, I follow the same 4-step process. First, identify the exact symptom. Second, isolate the most likely cause. Third, change only one variable. And fourth, evaluate the results. This is the difference between guessing and testing. Testing creates data. Data creates repeatable results. The best candle makers I've met all share one mindset. They don't view failed tests as failures. They view them as information. Every bad burn teaches you something. Every rough top teaches you something. Every tunneling candle teaches you something. Document everything. Test in threes, and change only one variable at a time. That's how experts are made. Remember this? Every expert candle maker started exactly where you are today. They asked the same questions. They made the same mistakes. And they solved those problems one batch at a time. Keep testing. Keep learning. Keep documenting. And most importantly, keep making candles. If you found this helpful, subscribe to The Candle Artist Way. And drop your biggest candle-making question in the comments. It might just become our next video. If you're serious about candle making, start thinking like a candle artist. If you want to go deeper into candle design, sublimation, engraving, and creating candles that truly stand out, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in getting my book on sublimation and engraving at cost, the link is in the description. Buyers of my book can explore a free trial that includes one-on-one coaching, a physical monthly newsletter delivered to your front door, and my private school community. And if you'd rather buy my candles instead of making them yourself, I've added a link to my Etsy shop below. See you next time on The Candle Artist Way.